to have you. I know you are still feeling sleepy. Lot of training you must have done in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, I'm good, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Bhavani, first of all, I just wanted to thank you. Around 150 people are just listening to you. And I hope the people are still logging in because they log in by 10:15 or so.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
Bhavani, there are a number of questions I wanted to ask. First, I wanted to tell you, in case mess, if I go out of internet, Krishanji will continue of it because a lot of
Okay.
internet fluctuation is there.
Okay.
And
No problem.
Bhavani, first of all, सब ये जानना चाहते हैं, all of them want to know when you started fencing and how you got into this sport. क्योंकि as far as I know, you don't have any sports background. Which one thing motivated you to get into sports and especially into fencing?
Okay. I joined
Yes.
fencing when I was 11 years old, and I always wanted to do extracurricular activities other than studies. So when I moved to my new school in
Okay.
Chennai, so there they introduced fencing, squash, gymnastics, and some other sports to my class. And fencing was the only option left to join. So I chose
Okay.
fencing because there was no other option. But after I joined fencing, I mean, it was so much fun to play with the swords. So that's what actually made me happy to play fencing.
Okay. Bhavani, when you joined fencing, you were aware of this sport or no? First time you got exposed to this sport?
Yes, I did not know anything about this sport. I just know fencing word. I did not even though it's a sport or it's something. It's like running or something like that. I just gave my name, and when we were introduced to the sports, like when they introduced about saber, epi, foil, how we play, how we get points and all, that made me to play the sport.
Great, great, great. Acha, Bhavani, एक चीज I wanted to ask you one more question about your beginning in the sport of fencing. Most of the young fencers and young coaches who are watching you, they want to know when you joined sport, what was the aim? You wanted to play at top level, or you just wanted to enjoy, to be physically fit, or the fun part of it?
No, I just enjoyed playing the sport. So first thing when I wanted to continue the sport because I feel happy. I enjoyed a lot playing the sport, so that's why I continued playing it. But after a few months when we had competitions, I lost my first competition. I did not get any medal. So that's what actually motivated me to win medals in the sport.
Great, great, great. So Bhavani basically saying ki that she joined the sport for the fun activities, fitness as part of the daily curriculum. But when she lost the first bout in nationals, then she decided ki now I will prove myself. Yeah, great, great stuff, Bhavani. You have been role model for many people who are watching, and I will keep giving chance to the young fencers and the coaches who are there to ask you questions in road because most of people know you, interacted you, but there are few people. Utsavi, I'm unmuting you. Ask your question very brief. Utsavi, Utsavi, you can listen to me. I'm audible. Okay, she is not audible. Okay, Rishikesh,
Yes,
Rishikesh, you are one of the youngest fencer who is on. Ask your question to Bhavani. What you want to ask her?
ma'am.
Rishikesh,
Yes,
Yes, Rishi.
ask your. You want to ask something to Bhavani? She is listening to you.
ma'am. When did you take an international level?
Okay, I started fencing in 2004, and my first international participation was in 2006 in Turkey World Championship, Cadet World Championship.
Now, Bhavani, tell me what is the difference you found when you graduated from national championship to international championship? Were you under some kind of fear, anxiety? Because when you have gone there, you must have seen a great difference in terms of equipment, infrastructure, and coaching. How did you deal with that at that time?
Uh, at the beginning, it was actually we only were participating in the junior level competition mostly, like junior Commonwealth, junior Asian Championship. We did not participate in senior. But the more difficult thing I felt was from the senior level, because there is a lot of
Okay.
difference between junior and senior level. Of course, because the most difficult part was I was alone in most of the competition. So the things that I need to organize myself, like checking my entries, checking my pools and my equipments, if everything I have, and and other difficult thing, I think the support system. The other countries, they have everything. The athletes only had to focus only on the performance. The other things are taken care by the coaches or the physiotherapists or the doctors they have. I think this is the biggest difference between us and the other countries.
But let me tell you, things are looking very bright because
Yes,
of the people like you
yes,
who have raised the flag high at international level. Now, SAI and Fencing Association of India is also observing and I think extending all kind of sport,
yes,
and things will further improve. Now,
yes,
Bhavani,
yes.
tell me what is a daily training schedule when you were in Italy and during lockdown? Start how you what from the time you get up in the bed, what you eat. If another 2 minutes or say you tell all these young coaches who are watching how you plan your day of the training.
So, I mean, during lockdown, I was not there because I came back in India in time. But before lockdown, our training was like we used to have two sessions a day, Monday to Friday. Saturday is more only for like relaxing exercise, like stretching or yoga or meditation or whatever you want to do. But the main sessions are from Monday to Friday, and sometimes both sessions are bouts. Like we fence 5 to 6 matches in each session, or so for example, we do Monday and Tuesday, it will be two sessions of bouts. On Wednesday morning, it will be only footwork and fitness and lessons. And Wednesday evening, again, it's bouts. So we don't fence every day from Monday to Friday. There will be some kind of rest and recovery in between sessions, or even the during session, like Wednesday morning. And it's more depends on the athletes. Some athletes might not even fence for two sessions. They only fence one session because they want to rest in the morning, or they do only fitness exercise in the morning. So I mean, Italy, the more things depends on the athletes. Even though they have a program, but the athletes decide when they want to fence. So this is the difference I see in India and Italy.
Okay, now Bhavani, tell me how many lessons you used to take in a week at in Italy. How many lessons coach used to give you in Italy
Yeah, two is for
in
sure.
a week?
Yeah, two Monday to Friday. So two is for sure. I'll take two. But if I have more time, or if I feel like to have one more lesson, then three. So not more than four in a week.
And what is the duration of lesson?
30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. So sometimes we do footwork also. So it will be around 1 hour.
Basically it is in a high intensity
High
lesson.
intensity.
Can you
Yes,
tell little
yes.
bit how your coach in Italy used to start the lesson and how he used to graduate and finish it in next 30 odd seconds or so on? How the lesson should be started by the how they start at the top level?
Yeah. So first, with me, I talk about myself. With me, we start with the
Yes.
basic footworks and basic actions, because I'm not still very used to Italian training. So I always start with the basic, and then we move on to the technical level. Like we do parry reposes and parry repose in distance, and we do in movements. And finally, it will be more technical, like what we do, tactical, what we do in competitions, like what kind of preparations we can do. And we decide, so okay, I want to do go for direct attack, so I go for direct attack. If my coach is ready, or if he preview it that I'm going to do direct attack, he will do parry repose. I need to change at the time. If I see like my coach is waiting for making parry, I may change my action. So the last 10 to 15 minutes will be like this, so deciding and doing some actions.
Great. Bhavani, so basically you want to say this thing कि the advanced countries हैं जो the advanced nations of fencing, their lesson between coach and player
Yes.
when player is at playing as a top level, it is a both way lesson. It is not ki
Yes.
just coach is telling you
Teach.
what to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you also manipulate the coach in lesson. So it
Yes.
is
Yes.
basically a
Exactly.
both way communication.
Yes.
Great. That is something new learning for me. Also, we need to implement in our system. Most of the good coaches are already doing, but it is a
Yes.
great learning for a new coaches. No, Bhavani, another question is that I think you pay for your lessons in Italy. There, everything is you have to pay to the coach for the hourly session.
Yes.
Unlike India, where everything is free and we don't value it much. Please
Yes.
just
Yeah.
tell another 2-3 seconds or another 20 seconds
Yes, yes.
about that.
I mean, at least Italy is a little bit cheaper than USA. USA is the lessons are very expensive, and it lasts only for 30 minutes. And they check the time very correctly. I mean, even if they don't go for 35 minutes. Yes, in Europe and I think in most of the countries other than India, they charge for each lesson. And if you want, of course, if you want more lessons, you pay more, and you pay for the club, you
Money.
pay for the fitness trainer, you pay for everything there.
Absolute. It is a basically business model, pay and play. It is
Yes,
not like that
because
the government is running
because
something. Yes.
their because their fencing is not a government job, and they don't get paid from any other sources other than the players and the club. So that's why we pay
In
for everything.
in fact, you won't believe that is other than India and few other countries, none of the program at beginner level or intermediate level have been sponsored by anybody. In fact, जो
Yes,
सुन रहे हैं USA में, in fact, parents take care when their kid has to go for international or national competition. Parents combine money together and keep the expenditure of coach also included in that. Basically,
yes,
parents ही coach का भी expenditure करते हैं.
yes.
Now, Bhavani, another question to you is that this is a very big. I am asking you questions जो मेरे पास आए हैं और which are basically for the coaches to help.
Mhm.
No, Bhavani, what is what? Oh no. Hello. Please don't share the screen. Whosoever is there, please. No, Bhavani.
Yes.
Like Shriya Gupta has asked a question: ki what is the average expenses for training in Europe for 1 month, including food, accommodation,
Okay.
coaching fee, everything?
Including food, accommodation, travel, and everything will cost around 1 lakh per month. Minimum cost 1 lakh.
1 lakh per month.
If you stay in
1
a
lakh
very
per
good
month.
place, I mean, there are cheaper places there, but which are I don't feel they are safe. So if you find a good
Okay.
accommodation, good location near to the fencing hall and all, it will be like 1 lakh, minimum 1 lakh.
Minimum 1 lakh. No,
Yeah.
Bhavani, we have another 20 odd minutes. I will give chance to somebody from Bangladesh and other. But before that, I want to ask you another one question. Now, thing is that how much stress or how much focus is on strength and conditioning on fencers in Italy?
Fence. Actually, in Italy, not only in Italy, I have seen even Mario Zagonis. They don't do much strength training. They don't do more weight trainings. I don't know why they don't believe or not. But in Italy, they do sometimes once in a week or twice in a week, not so much. And their fitness program is very good. They are more like Rambo sir said, the jumps, the explosive movements, and all they do those kind of exercises like the agility works, the using the ladder and agility cones and all. They do more exercises with these things. I did not see much of them doing weight training.
Okay. Bhavani, what you play any recreational games there? Because it is a business concept, it may not be there. But what are the recreational games you should play and how often?
Okay, at least I mean, usually before training, before we start our training, we do some kind of football or a handball game before starting the actual training. Yes, it's not like we play one session full of recreational game. Usually they give rest, and only if we want to play, it will be like I said, Wednesday morning. If we are doing only footwork, fitness, and lessons, before that we do like 30 minutes of some game like football or handball or throw ball, and yeah, that's it. We don't play recreational game for more than half an hour.
Great. Now I will unmute. There is a very wonderful question asked by a small girl from Jharkhand, Utsavi. I will have let her have the privilege to ask that question. Utsavi, I'm unmuting you. Please ask your question.
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
Utsavi,
Didi.
Hi, good morning.
Didi, have your family ever treated you like a star player
No way, never,
or people
never.
close to you?
Sorry?
People close to you.
No, no, never. They never do that with me. Sometimes I prefer in my home, they make me not to do some works, but they purposefully make me to do sometimes. So I think I don't really expect that things from my friends or family, which is actually good for us. If they do something like that, our mind, our focus will change. So it is better as we are with them, and especially with the family. So it is important to stay as we used to be.
no, Bhavani. Now another thing, question add on to that. Like once you become, you reach a top level. In fact, you are the best fencer produced by country till date. Whatever people say, reaching the top 50 level is not very easy. Uh, there is some kind of a stardom comes once you reach, like you have been honored so many times by Tamil Nadu government. I personally have got a lot of respect for you, and I treat myself yourself as a star for my daughter's inspiration. Aim question is that ki once you reach at some level, you get a stardom. How you handle that? Does it affect you that because you are always treated in a very special manner when you come for a national also? How you handle that? Because I have seen in national scenario what happens. Somebody becomes national champion, he starts flying number of times. It's a very human, natural human tendency.
Yes.
How you curb that stardom going into your performance?
So actually, so my aim in fencing is different. So going to Olympics, doing best performances in Olympics, it's my aim is on that. My focus is always on that. So I actually don't do or don't ever. I never think about myself getting stardom or getting interviews makes me bigger than other people or feeling greater and all. My focus always to do good training, good performance, and try to do my best in the sport. So I don't know how I handle it's most of the times I try to ignore, I try to avoid these things because you can control at some level, but after that you cannot control it much, so it's better to avoid some things so I'm trying to do that. I don't want to get into this until
Bhavani, just tell me one thing. I understand that, and so nice. You have beautifully answered that. That is one of the wonderful approach. Bhavani, tell me how many hours of training you are doing in lockdown, and how many hours you are sleeping. And please tell all these fencers what is the importance of sleep.
Yes,
Please.
yeah, sleeping is very, very important for any athletes, especially for fencers, because we use our mind more than our body. Because we can even fence without proper training or without doing proper stretching at all. But for the mind, if you don't give proper rest, you can't able to think, or you cannot do your action in good timing. Sometimes you are doing some action, but the opponent maybe you're trying to do parry, but opponent gets a malparry. So it's because your mind is not working fast, or you did not decide it in the right moment. So which is why giving rest to mind and doing mental preparation is also important for fencing. And during lockdown, I'm not doing so much of training. I do 1 hour in the morning and 1 to 1.5 hours in the evening. So usually my morning training is hard session because in the evening it gets dark. I mean soon, and also I cannot start early because it's so hot in my terrace. So I do hard session, like maybe I do some fitness session one day, or one day I do fencing footwork and lessons. And in the evening it will be more for stretching or some yoga and some relaxation exercises. And I make sure I sleep for 8 to 9 hours a day.
Great, great, great. There's a wonderful book called How We Sleep. All of you must read that. That shows the importance of sleep. Now, Bhavani, another question related to your routine also is that you said ki you practice for hour in the morning and 1.5 hour in the evening. That amounts to around 2.5 hours in a day.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
I wanted to tell everybody, Cristiano Ronaldo once said कि an athlete who can work out at 1 hour and around 90 minutes high intensity exercise at a stretch, he is a god. So what I am intending to say that कि Bhavani is doing high intensity exercises for that 1 hour. It is not that कि 10 minutes you do workout, then you take your phone, you chat, you click photos, selfies. It's not that. She switch अपना फोन बंद किया, किसी से बात नहीं करनी है 1 hour. If you do that, you do it for 3 months, you will become national champion with lot of quality practice, not a
Yes.
she has become champion by success, by a system, not by chance. Another question, if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand in the chat. I still have around 12 minutes for Bhavani to go. Vishal Rao, I am unmuting you. Your hand I see. Please ask your question. Vishal Rao, please, very brief.
Yeah.
Vishal,
How
please.
Didi? Hello Didi. Hello
Yeah,
Didi.
yeah.
Bhavani Didi.
Hello, hi.
My question is sometimes players in during the bout, so sometimes nervous. How to play perform? So during the course see, so how to coach say you can believe and you can do it your best. What is the think your mind this time players?
So how to perform when you're feeling nervous? Is that is it?
Yeah, Bhavani, he is actually
Huh.
saying during bout, there are ups and downs. How
Yes.
much you should motivate from yourself and how much you should see the coach. Because India is a trend, it is a coaches who are making you play from behind. Aage ja, attack kar. He wants to say what is the importance of coaches during the bout, how much they should interfere and how much you should channelize your energy.
Of course, having a coach during a match is important, but at the same time, even when your coach says going forward and going backward, it is you who is going to do that action. And sometimes, it's only sometimes you feel much better in the pitch, and sometimes the coach feels much better from outside. So it's okay to listen to your coach, but at the same time, if you feel like, I mean, it is more important to have confidence. So if you have confidence with your coach, if you both have trust each other, you are easily able to understand what he's trying to say. Maybe he's just telling you to go forward. It not just making a one step forward. It just maybe he wants you to go for attack or start your attack. So sometimes you need to understand his words more deeply than just listening to the words like step forward or step backward. And there are ups and downs, of course. It is a part of sports. And I always believe that if you are giving 100% your effort, and if you are honest with your training, your preparation, whether the result is higher level or low level, it doesn't matter. If you are satisfied with what you are given, it's what more important than the result. And of course, this result comes in a long time. It takes time. You need to work hard and maintain that consistency in your training, and you need to believe yourself more than anyone else. And take every result as a good way. Don't just look in a bad negative way. And try to improvise yourself after every competition, whether you win or you lose. Try to learn, try to understand what you learned from that competition or that match. And keep doing that in your training. Try to improvise every day, and one day definitely results will come back to you.
Thank you, Bhavani. Now I'll come back to Deepa Chauhan, then Jijo Nidhi, and then Puniteshwar. Now, Bhavani, another thing is that related to that, what you said about training part of it, most of the people, what they do currently, what I have seen, when you are playing a bout, you think ki, now I will go and hit opponent like this. You decide, and then a referee say pray ale and you go. This is I also felt when I was playing. What is this you should act as per the opponent's reaction, or you should plan that I'll do, he will do that, then I will do that.
No, you need to decide it before what you want to do. Of course, before every match, we know about some athletes. We know how they fence. On basis of that, we plan some action, or we try to have some options. If they do for attack in the quad side, we do quad parry and all. It's important to have a decision before before you start. Once you started, of course, it might not be the same reaction from the opponent, but you need to be ready to change it on that time. So it's important to decide before first.
That's how you build your muscle memory in your lessons and training, the reaction
Yes.
to that. Now,
Yes. Yeah.
Deepa Chauhan, over to you. After that, I'm coming to Jijonidhi. Deepa, go ahead, ask your question. Deepa, you are there? Okay, I think she's not there. I'll mute her. Jijonidhi,
Yes, sir.
Jijonidhi,
Yes, sir. Can you hear?
please ask your question.
Hello, Bhavani.
Hello, Da.
Bhavani, can you share the experience of like from Tamil Nadu to Sai, then Sai to Italy? That first, how you adapted with Sai, then from Sai to Italy, how you adapted? Can you share that experience?
Yes, sure.
Good,
So
wonderful question.
I actually, I mean, the best quality that I feel I have is adaptability. I can adapt to any kind of situation or anywhere I travel. So first thing, when I changed from Tamil Nadu to Kerala Sai Center, of course, it's a big decision because I need to join new school, learn new language, stay away from my family for first time. So it was a very big decision, but my family supported me. They are happy with what I'm doing. And when I moved to Sai, I mean, of course, most of the players I have already seen them in the competition, so it was easier for me to stay with them. And of course, the Sagar sir called me. He was one of the best in the saber in the country. So when he called me, I was so happy to move there. And I mean, staying in the hostel actually helped me to learn many things in my life, to do my things on myself. So that experience was very important for me. I think that has changed me a lot after moving to Sai Center and staying in the hostel. And then moved to Italy. Yes, I mean, the base started from Sai, staying alone, doing my things by myself. So that's what helped me to move. When I moved to Italy, it continued there. I did not had any kind of problem just being alone. And I mean, more importantly, for every stages, only my family were there with me. So which was the most important thing, that I could continue the sport.
No, Bhavani, another question which has come: how you keep yourself busy in the crucial junctures of life? Like you are alone most of the time in Italy. You listen to music before competition, after training, when you're in the room, or you read some books. Another 30 seconds. We have got 6 minutes more with you.
So of course, like I said, we have a 2 hours training, 4 hours each, and of course we get some nap in between the training, and then I cook myself, and then I also like to read something. I was doing MBA, so I read a little bit, and then yeah, that's how my day went from Monday to Saturday.
Hello. Now
Yes.
I will unmute Punitheshwar. Punitheshwar, please ask your question.
Good morning, Bhavan Devya Akka.
Good morning.
My question is how to control fear in before competition.
Fear. So first, thank you for your question. So fear, everyone has fear. Everyone feels nervous. Everyone feels anxiety. But more important thing is where your focus is going. If you focus on how much fear you are getting, then your performance will not come good. So first thing is accept. Yes, I have fear. I'm afraid if I don't do well, or if I lose. So it's normal for everyone. First accept that. And the second thing is, okay, now, okay, I accepted it. Now the next thing is how my opponent going to fence, how I'm going to outfence her, what are the strategies I'm going to use. So if you change your focus from that emotion to other thing, then you will perform much better. So it is normal for everyone.
Good answer. Now, I will take another 2 questions, then I'll get few chance to some people who want to convey their thank to you. Anybody who wants to raise hand? Rajiv Kumar, yeah, you please ask question. Be brief. Rajiv Kumar, please.
Hi, hello.
Acha Bhavani, to ask you, like I saw you started in 2004, and I'm sure you started with very when you were under 12 age, no?
Hmm.
and Mr. Ramesh Rajput, like who introduced fencing in Tamil Nadu. Yes.
Ask
So I just want to
question.
ask you one question. What makes you, different when you are taking coaching from one coach? How do you realize? And after one beyond practice, after one time, how do you realize कि yes, now I should go up? Your coach suggests you to go for better training, or you feel that how you can go for better training, or now in India, or maybe better than India, maybe Italy or US. How do you decide? And where do you decide?
Okay. First of all, yes, we had. I'm happy that we had an opportunity to train with Ramesh Rajput sir. He was so energetic person. We enjoyed every training with him, and we were also even in that year we were also had opportunity to train with Mr. Amitabh sir from UP, and we were also doing training in Chennai with the Chennai coach. So at that time we did not feel much difference in each coach. We were just enjoying and trying to improvise from each coach we trained. After some point, yes, the coaches also helps you, tells you to, okay, you go there to train for some weeks, and it's better you train with other people. But sometimes if the player feels, if the player wants to change their game, if she or he wants to do something different than what they are doing, so it's more depends on the player. So it's a very difficult question, I mean difficult decision to take, but it's more depends on the players point of view, what they want to do, and why they want to change.
Great, great. Thank you, Bhavani. Bhavani, I am unmuting another young fencer named Sejal. She is, I think, under 10 or under 12 champion in AP. Sejal, I am unmuting you. Please ask your question. Sejal, you are there listening to me? Sejal? Acha, I'll ask. She said how to keep the motivation level high for young fencers for longer duration.
Okay, I think as long as you love the sport and you are happy doing the training and competition, so you don't need to do any extra things to motivate yourself. The love, the passion, and the the aim you put for yourself for this sport itself motivating you for everyday training. That's what I believe. As long as I love this sport, as long as the sports makes me happy and motivates me to achieve bigger and bigger, I'll play the sport. So I think there is no, you don't need to any extra things to motivate yourself other than loving the
No,
sport.
Bhavani, I'll take last question. After that, you can give your, thanks or you want to conclude. But before that, I wanted to give chance to somebody who's young and dynamic and trying to ask you question. We have got your coaches here, panel of instructor listening. But my aim is to let new coaches and players feel good about you. Now, Subhi Laksha, ask your question. I'm unmuting you. Subhi Laksha,
Hi, Ka.
yes,
Hi.
yes, go.
So, how many days your international training is been?
How many days? Have been training for last 3-4 years in Italy.
4 years
Three
in
and a half.
Italy. Great,
3.5.
great,
Yeah.
great, 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 great. Now, Bhavani, one more question. There's so many requests. I don't want to break the heart of those young kids who are watching. Just a minute. Last question, and after that, I give you a chance to conclude. We have got second class. I wish we would have given you a little more time. But guys, Bhavani is busy in the rituals of her father who left for the heavenly abode a few months back. So out of that, she could come and tell you about this for half an hour. I am always thankful to her, but I am looking for somebody young and dynamic. Please raise your hand to ask if you want to ask question. I'll give you chance. Anybody, young guy, young coach, please raise your hand. Somebody has raised. Puneet Dhruv, you are not young anymore. Okay. Shriya, I'm unmuting you. Ask your question. Shriya, go ahead.
Ma'am, now you are training for such a time in Europe. What do you think? How much time we Indian fencers can take
Hello.
to become at par with European or Olympic winning medal country? Where are we lacking?
Okay, it's a very good question. Yes, actually, the proper fencing works, fencing training and competitions in India started from last 7 to 10 years. we stopped fencing for a few years at the beginning, but after that, with the support from the federation and government, we are doing well. We are getting better and better, and each time. Now, what we need is the time. We need to work hard, and we need to maintain this consistency for a long time. And results, you don't need to, and then the results will come back to you. Now the important thing is to compete in all international competition and as much as international competitions we can, and we get foreign coaches to our training centers, and we keep working what we are doing. I mean, the support from the federation now is great. So yeah, we need some more years to get better and or to get to the top in the world.
Great, great. Bhavani, now last question. It has been sent by one of the coach, and I'll not name him. He said that in one of the championships or one of his training at state level, he told players not to use the mobile from night 10 to 5. There was a lot of hue and cry, and coach was taken to task by the concerned authorities. Now, what is your advice to fencers? Ki they should use the mobile during night hours, because I have seen in India camps also people are online till 1 o'clock in the night. You know, please advise them to use limited mobile, and
Yes.
how it will improve your performance, and after that you can conclude and conclude.
Yes, like I said, our mind is more important, like our body. Even though we give rest to our body, we don't give proper rest to our mind. The proper rest comes when you sleep. So if you use your mobile, your energy consumes more from your mind. And even if you sleep after like 10 hours, you don't get the same energy when you sleep even for 8 hours without using mobile for, I mean, you need to stop using mobile 1 hour before you going to sleep. So that's how your mind starts recovering from all other things in the happen in the day. So using mobile means you are wasting your energy and from your mind, and the next day you won't able to give your best. So think about that, and then you decide if you want to use mobile or not.
Bhavani, thank you very much. I must thank you for all the effort. You are coming to all the nationals, you are playing, people are watching you technically, but this aspect was lacking. As a program coordinator, I thought that people should know how much effort goes to become Bhavani Devi, how much struggle you have to go through, and time was short. There's so many questions. I just want to thank you. You took out time from those rituals and came here. Bhavani, I only pray that everything gets all right. You go to the Olympics and you win medal. For me, you are already a champion, Bache. You have made country proud. You have made fencing proud. You have made your parents proud. You have made your coaches proud. And above all, you are motivating and a source of inspiration for all these young coaches and fencers.
Yeah.
Stay motivated.
Yes.
I
yes.
will pray for you. Now you conclude, and after that you are request.
Yeah.
You can log out, and I'll get Kranti Lodhe online.
Yeah. First
Please.
of all, I want to thank Sports Authority of India for this, for giving this opportunity to fencing, and thanks to Fencing Association of India, they are doing great support and encouragement to the players and to the fencing community. Thanks to our president, Mr. Rajiv Mehta sir, and the secretary, Mr. Bashir Ahmed sir, and thanks to all coaches for giving your works, for giving your best work for developing the sport. And thanks to all fencers, and it was a pleasure for me, and I'm glad that I could be part of this kind of online training. Thank you, sir.
Now in the next championship, we will make you sit for 2 hours, and we'll tell all these young fencers to ask you questions in person. Okay?
So actually, I forgot to mention, and thanks to the players who are becoming coaches now, and I know Rashid Bhaiya and Lohit, there are so many other players who have become coach and trying to come back to fencing, which is a very good thing and very important for us. We need you all, and thank you everyone. Thank you, sir.
You, Bhavani, you didn't thank me. I was also a fencer. Just jokes
Yes,
apart.
yes.
Huh? Thank you very much.
Thank
If you're playing well, thank you very much, Bhavani, for your value. And people are just raising their hands and thanking you very much. Please
Thank
clap for the Bhavani wherever you are, and it will be great. Please clap for Bhavani. Thank you, Bhavani. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much. And you can log out. Please stay safe. Anything, please do let us know. And especially Fencing and Sports Authority of India, such a role model, bache. God
Sure,
bless.
sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay, okay. Now, Kranti, sorry for the delay. I know that you were waiting for it. Now, Kranti will take a presentation for 40 odd minutes. After that, you can ask questions. Over to you, Kranti. Over to you. Go ahead.
Okay, so namaste to everybody. I'll log in with my laptop because I have a presentation, but first I thought I need to hear because I cannot hear, but you can hear me. That's very nice. So I'll just log on from my iPad, and once I finish my lecture, I'm going to log in through my iPad so I can listen you guys. Okay, so see you soon. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Kranti will take little time to log in. Meanwhile, I will give chance to somebody to share his experience. If somebody is there, when she's logging, I think there's some problem in the computer. So I will give chance to if Sagar is there or Sagar is not there, his assistant coach Arun Rajkumar is there, because they have what Bhavani is today. They have got a major contribution in that. Krishanji, Sagar or Arun Rajkumar, if you can unmute, please.
Sagar is there, sir.
Hello. Who's Sagar? Please go ahead. Why we took please.
Yes,
please.
yes, Vikram.
Please go ahead. You should be feeling very proud that your student has become a role model for all of us, and contribution to goes to you also, brother, for lifting the Sabre, especially in India. I have got a special affiliation for Sabre because I was myself into Sabre. No, next 30 seconds, Kranti is onlining. 30 seconds, convey your gratitude towards Bhavani.
It was a wonderful class by Bhavani. She has explained very well how the fencer can come up with the support of all. And yeah, of course, it was wonderful to work with the Bhavani because she was a special kid. She has put a lot of effort to become this level. Although many people have, at the starting period, many people have said that it's not possible for Indian fencer to come up for this levels. And Bhavani, they used to say that she's working so many years, but she could not able to achieve. But she has.
Yeah, unmuting you. Just unmuting you. Okay.
So they have keep working, and she has proven that Indian fencer can reach.
I will do that just a minute.
And they are doing really good. And it was always a proud moment when your student is performing at such a level.
I know. Sagar, credit goes to unsung heroes like you, those who needs to be highlighted. Thank you very much. I have got another speaker lining up. Wait. Kranti, I am just allowing you to unmute your screen. Just wait. I think. Just wait. Yeah, you can share your screen. Share, please. Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I have allowed you. Please go ahead. Share your screen.
Yes, I did it. I just give me like 2 minutes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Can you do it?
Okay. So can you hear me, guys?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes. Yeah, Kranti, go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just give me one.
Guys, just hold on. She is sharing her screen. I think there's some connectivity problem. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So namaste to everybody. Myself is Kranti and I'm teaching yoga from last 19 years. And I'm so glad that today I'm doing the presentation for the fencing people. And why? Because I'm a sports person. You know, I always, when I was a kid, I was always into the sport, and I used to like runner, and I used to play kabaddi, kho, the other games. And I always felt I wish I would also have this knowledge how yoga can help in the sport. But I feel blessed also because that time somehow we didn't have that many distractions also. But nowadays, being staying in the 2020, we have lots of distraction like we have a mobile, we have a phone, okay, we have Instagram, we have a Facebook. So we are blessed also because our focus was much better. But right now, people have some problems which I'm going to share with you guys. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about how yoga is going to help in the fencing. And after 40 minutes, I'm going to take the questions from you guys. So this is again Kranti, this is some information if you want to contact later on. Okay. So today's agenda of the meeting or our presentation, yoga and fencing. I'm going to correlate how yoga is going to helpful for you guys. Right now, even I was also listening Bhavani Devi. She was talking about that she also does yoga. So very nice that, you know, and nowadays yoga helps a lot. You can just Google it, for example, yoga for swimmers, you will get. Yoga for boxing, you will get. You know, you will get many answers if you just Google it, that how yoga is going to help in any kind of sport. Now, the definition and the importance of yoga, I'm going to explain you guys, and why yamas and niyamas in an asana practice also very important as you're fencing, okay, when you're participating as you're fencing, and then pranayama and meditation techniques and yoga nidra benefits. So these are the 5 topics I'm going to cover for today's session. So let's, you know, I like this. I just took it. You remember you had one psychological presentation. You know, I was also there. So I picked up from there what Bhavani Devi also says, that your mental strength is also more important. Yeah. So now let's talk about the fencing and yoga. What are the essential skills you needed? Everybody knows, okay, obviously you are a fencing, you're playing fencing, so you know these are the, I just took the main 3 skills, but maybe there are many more, but right now I'm going to just talk about these 3 skills. The footwork, how yoga asana is going to be beneficial. The blade work, how pranayama and meditation is going to be beneficial. And for the body and mind coordination. Yoga is all about the body and mind coordination. The yoga definition is only to union the body and mind. That's the definition. So these are the things I'm going to cover up, guys. How yoga asana, pranayama, meditation, yoga nidra is going to be beneficial. So now let's look at it, that the definition of this yoga. So many people only talk about the yoga is body and mind, but I purposefully picked up this definition because this definition is more beneficial as a fencing player. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Okay, means what? So chitta means the consciousness, vritti means activity or fluctuation, nirodha means to control on your mind. Okay, now let's look at it right now. You're sitting in front of your laptop or iPad or your phone. Everybody is not here 100%. That's for sure. Nobody is here 100%. Even me also. Don't worry that though I'm a yoga teacher, but it's not necessary that I'm also here 100%. Why I'm saying that? Because in your consciousness, there is some activity is going on. There is something is going on. And this activity always arises with the attachment, with the desire, with the ignorance, or with the ego, or laziness, or jealousy, or excessive thought. These are the consciousness. These are the activities constantly going on. So I'll give you the one example. Now, if you look at it, our lifestyle is totally based on the front of the screen. Do you know, in one day, like normal human beings touch the mobile screen 2,617 times. Okay, can you imagine why? Because we constantly, there is something is going on your phone. Right now also you're listening my lecture or presentation, you're not here 100%. Maybe some people are checking, oh, how many people are there? They are touching their screen. Okay, that happens. Even sometimes me also it happens. So if you look at it, that Instagram already got it that. So for example, if you get any video, okay, which is 3 minutes or 5 minutes, you touch your screen at least 10 times. Okay, you just check how many seconds are left. So Instagram got to know already that right now, due to this lifestyle, the human being can only focus 59 seconds. Actually, they say for 57 only, but still I'm saying 57 to 59 seconds you can focus. So you got it, like these are the chitta in the consciousness. There's constantly some activities are going on. So for example, when I put the photograph on my Facebook or Instagram, I check all the time how many likes I got it, how many comments I got it. So you understand, these are, for example, as long as I upload something, constantly something maybe I check after 1 hour or after 2 hours, or even if I get the one bip about the comments, because if you have a Facebook application, I just cut down the Facebook application because I got to know that even I'm also getting addicted to the Facebook example. Okay, this is me. So once I got it that I'm also getting too much addicted to my phone, to the social media. So what I did do a practice from 10 a.m. to maybe 4, 5, at least 5 hours or 6 hours when I am active, in the sense, I'm not talking about when you're sleeping time. So when you're like, for example, I get up at 5:30 and I sleep maybe 11:30. So in that period of time, 5:30 to 11:30, I will not use the internet at least 5 hours. So that's the discipline I follow, because I understood the same thing is happening. And if I am going to give the lecture or presentation that yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, okay, but if I don't follow, it's not going to work out. Okay. Yes, from last 2 weeks, I was staying with my brother, and he really doesn't have a good internet. So many times I have to use my hotspot. Okay. So I was using internet a lot, but then I realized that I need to get out of my phone at least 5 hours. Okay. That's the discipline I follow. So I hope everybody understands what is the chitta, means your consciousness. Vritti means constantly there is activity is going, okay, and that activity, to control that activity, that's the definition of the yoga. And we really focus more how we can control these activities. I hope everybody understands the definition of the yoga. So I'm going to go next slide. So now here, if you look at it, there is a one tree. Okay, on that tree, on the left side, okay, the yamas are there. And the right side, there are niyamas. So first I'm going to explain you what is the yamas. So yamas means when you're staying in a society, so it doesn't matter right now, I'm in India, but last year I was, not last year, this year only till February, I was in Jamaica, I was in Colombia, I was in Guatemala. So wherever, any part of the world I travel, this yama I have to follow. Why? Because I stay with people. Again, I always, or I'm not staying in a jungle or in a Himalayas where I don't need to coordinate with people. Okay, but I have to deal with every time with people. So when you're staying in a society, so you have to follow a certain rules. Okay, why? I'm going to explain why these rules are important as a sportsman or as a fencing person, because these rules, if you follow, your mind will be stable. You remember the chitta, the consciousness, the activity is constantly going on, that will get stabilized. Yeah. So many people only talk about just do a breathing example. Okay, everybody just say, oh, you want to have the mental control, mental power. Okay, you want to focus more. Everybody talk about the breathing. Okay, everybody talk about the meditation, but nobody talk about, oh, sorry, I have to pick up the call. What? Oh, but I am, can you now? Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, just a minute. Can you just see it now or no? Now? Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, now? Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so, okay, sorry guys, okay, because being a yoga teacher, we are not computer savvy people, okay? So again, I'll just go back to a couple of slides we missed on maybe, okay? So I'm just going to go again. So yoga, okay, the agenda of yoga and fencing, definition and the importance of yoga, yama, niyam, and asana, how is important for the fencing, and the pranayama and meditation techniques and yoga nidra's benefits. I'm going to talk about it. Now, in the third slide, if you remember that the sports psychology, you had a one presentation and I was also attending. If you look at it, that Bhavani Kadam, what she's saying, that your mental control, your mental balance is very important. And yoga is all about your mental control. Okay. So I'm going to talk about what are the essential skills for the fencing, like a footwork, how yoga asana is going to be beneficial. The blade work, okay, because you're constantly moving your hands, and especially in the blade work, you really need to have your response time. You should be more alert, okay? If your response time gets a little bit, maybe even fraction of second delayed, you can lose the match, okay? So that's the blade work and how pranayama and meditation is going to help, and why the body and mind coordination is very important. Okay. And if you look at it, that as that even Bhavani Devi also mentioned, I was there, she said that she also does yoga practice. So yoga is going to benefit in every aspect of your life, okay? It's not only for the fencing, okay? Now again, definition, you can just go through it, which I just covered it, you heard it, but you can just go through with my slides. Chitta means the consciousness, vritti means activity or fluctuation, nirodh means control over your mind. Okay, so now if you look at it, like it's really difficult to quieten our mind and remove the fluctuation because of due to our lifestyle. I told you that constantly we are in the front of screen, some kind of, and it's not only that, even your
attachment, desire, ignorance, ego, okay, excessive thought, laziness, jealousy, and the hatred. All these activities constantly going in your mind. When I told you that everybody is listening my lecture or my presentation, but you're not here 100%. In your mind, there is some activities are going on. And the yoga definition to cut down every activity when you do any kind of work means you are 100% are there. That's the definition of the yoga, where your body and your mind is union. Okay. Now let's look at the, as I told you that everybody, like even I saw there are some lectures or in the sports psychology also. Okay, it was a very wonderful lecture. Everybody just talk about, oh, when you want to have a mind control, you have to control your mind, you have to control your breath. But that's not going to happen, guys. Why? Because of the basis that why your mind is unstable. Why in your mind, your consciousness, why is so much distracted, your consciousness, okay? So these are the yama niyamas also you have to follow if you really want to have a stable mind. Okay. So if you look at it, there is a tree, you can see. On the left side, there are yamas. On the right side, there are niyamas. Don't worry, I'm just going to explain you very quick. I'm not going to take much time on this. Okay, but these are the very important, okay, in the fencing. So yamas means when you're staying in a society, you're following certain rules. Okay. So for example, I'm going to talk about ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. Okay. I understand maybe you say in a fencing we have to be violent, ma'am, otherwise we cannot perform. Yes, I understand. But sometimes sportsmen say, like, react to the opponent as a war. Hey, it should be not like that. So you have to control your non-violence while playing your sport. Okay. So, and again, non-violence is not only physical, we are talking about it. It's a physical, mental, and verbal. Means you're not going to hurt somebody. Okay. Again, physically, mentally, and verbally. Okay. So you understand why non-violence is also one of the important yamas to control your mind or reduce the activity of your mind. Okay. So I hope everybody got the ahimsa. And now satya means just be truthful. You know, हिंदी में एक बोलते हैं ना कि एक झूठ जब बोलते हो तो तुमको 100 और 1000 टाइम झूठ बोलना पड़ता है. So once you talk one lie, to hide that lie you have to talk maybe 100 times or 1000 times. So why we have to follow satya again? Because then your mind is always constantly thinking, because when you talk the truthfulness, you don't need to remember. But when you talk lie, constantly you have to remember that lie. So again, your mental state gets disturbed. So I hope everybody understands why satya is very important to follow. Now, asteya. Asteya means don't steal. I understand nobody's going to steal the mobile example. But sometimes we do a stealing of the ideas. Okay, sometimes we steal the ideas. Okay, that can happen, but if you really, okay, and sometimes we do stealing not in a physical way, but maybe mental way. Okay, so just to calm your mind again, asteya is going to help you. Okay, now the brahmacharya, I would like to tell you about the brahmacharya. Means you use your energy in a right form. I'm not going to talk much about it because then the topic will go more ahead, you know, which I don't want to. Okay, it's a little bit tricky, but I'm going to tell you that brahmacharya means you utilize your energy in a proper manner. Why? Because if your energy is divided in 100 places, you cannot focus, guys. Okay, so same. So for example, if I use my mobile 5 hours continuously, the battery is going to drain out. But if I not use my phone, only I use Only when I need it, I can utilize the same battery for the longer hours. This is a simple example. And now there is the one, aparigraha is the last yamas. So aparigraha means lots of excessive thoughts we store, okay, non-possessiveness. So we possess many things. Oh, my coach said to me, oh, or my family, something, that there are over attachment to the family. So for example, like again, Bhavani Devi, she's traveling, she's staying in Italy, but if she's too much attached to her family, she cannot focus on her goals. Okay, so this is simple. So aparigraha means non-attachment. Okay. So these are the 5 yamas are very important to just stabilize your mind. If you really want to focus well, these 5 yamas you have to follow in the society when you're staying. And then there are 5 niyamas. Okay, so guys, I'm not going to talk much about the niyamas. It's like a saucha. Saucha means you need to detoxify your body. Okay, you need to keep your body clean. You need to eat healthy diet because again, food plays a big role on your state of your mind. So for example, just imagine you eat a pizza, like a 2 pizza, okay, in the night, and tomorrow you have a practice. Okay, your energy is lots of energy needed to your digestion. Okay, so you cannot perform next day in a practice. You cannot give your 100% because you had a pizza previous night. So saucha means cleanliness, so you need to think about what kind of diet is good for my game. I should only stick with it. Then saucha, then santosha, just be contained. Okay. Then tapa means any study, for example, like look at again Bhavani Devi's example. Why? Because she was just here. Her tapa, she's like constant, her study was so powerful. Okay. She gave her full heart, full body and mind to this game. And now she's a successful player. Okay. So that's the tapa means your study is very powerful and you give your 100%. Okay. Saucha santosha, tapa, swadhyaya means your study. So for example, if your coach taught you new techniques, are you practicing that? The study is, are you practicing that study? Study right now, your study is whatever your fencing training is there, that study, are you doing it? And then swadhyaya, then Ishvara Pranidhan means you have to surrender yourself to the higher power, not to have the ego that, oh, I'm the best player in the world, example, okay? So not to have the ego. Okay. So these are the 5 yamas, and niyamas are very important in the fencing. Okay. Now, just I want to talk about why asana practice is very important. Because somehow in a training, for example, like fencing training, if you do an asana practice regularly, your muscles will be supple. The suppleness will come in your muscles and your tendons and your joints. So whenever you get any injury, recovery will be more faster. Okay, you got it? Like that's when you need a flexibility. And then when you do because especially here for the body work and for the blade work, you need to practice a little bit more balancing asana. Because in the balancing asana, you are training your nervous system. Yes. And that once you train your nervous system constantly, your footwork and your blade work can also improve drastically. So everybody understand why asana practice is also important in the fencing. Yes. And now the next slide. So now I'm going to explain. Okay, you understand now so again I'm going to go through it. Why? Because the next step, then I'm going to go with the breathing. Before you really want to practice the breathing practice, before you need to know this. Why my mind is not stable. what, you can just sit down or you can write down, oh, these are the things. So for example, every month, twice I do this practice. So I write down what things makes me agitated, or what's the reason I'm getting the excessive thought. So I write down, okay, and then I try to look at it. Oh, these are the things make me anxious, or I'm getting lots of thoughts because of that activity. Then I look at it and then I go through it. So for example, I told you that at one point I also realized that I'm also very addicted. I got addicted to my phone. I got it and I realized, no, I don't want to get too much addicted to my phone. And then I start reducing my phone. That's I'm talking about me. Okay. So I'm talking about why my chitta is getting disturbed. So I go through it before we go for the breathing. Why? Because the yama niyama are the first step of the Ashtanga yoga. The third is the asana practice. And the fourth is the pranayama. Is the fourth step is the pranayama. So before you move to any breathing, you cannot jump directly to breathing. Okay, guys, you cannot jump directly to breathing if you don't work on these three aspects. So you remember the yamas, niyamas, and asana practice. Why asana practice again is so important? Because when you sit for the meditation, your body has to be stable. Then only you can sit for the meditation for at least, okay, I'm not going to tell you like today, you're going to sit for the meditation for 1 hour. It's impossible for 1 hour. If you have that much control on your body, you're on the right track. But for example, if I tell you just sit in a cross leg, keep your back straight, shoulder blades are relaxed, and I just started, and then after 5 minutes, people started moving the legs, okay, because they feel discomfort, okay. So then the asana practice comes. With the asana practice, you get the stability. I hope you guys understand why we need the stability to do the pranayama or breathing exercise. Okay. Now, if you remember that in the sports psychology presentation, she showed the one picture of the tree, the backside of the cloud was there was a sunrise, okay? Everybody will talk about, oh, I saw the sky, I saw the tree, I saw the sunrise, or whatever, okay? But nobody talk about there is air or there is a space. Okay? The same pranayama is your space or your air, your breath. So now look at this slide. So first I'm going to read this shloka. Then I'm going to explain you guys in English, so no need to worry. Chale vatam chalam chittam nishalam nishalam bhave yogistanu vyapnoti tatho vayu nirodhe. Okay, means what? So always, if already sages got to know that they were doing the pranayama practice not to get the focus or get rid of from the cancer or get rid of from your hypertension. Okay. That was not goal for the rishis. Rishis got to know that there is a strong connection with your breath and your mind. Okay. But if you control your breath, you can control your mind easily. Okay. I hope everybody understands that why controlling breath is so important, because there is a connection with your breath and your mind. There's a strong connection. Now I'm just going to give you one exercise. Just everybody keep your eyes closed. And remember when you were very angry. Just remember when you were very angry. Just keep your eyes closed and try to remember the episode which has happened in the past when you were very angry or very aggressive. And now slowly open your eyes. Okay,
Kranti,
so
we have Kranti.
go through your
Kranti,
episode when you're very angry. Okay, nobody gets a positive thought that time. And if you're getting it, means you're not angry, first of all, okay? Nobody gets the positive thought at that time. And then we, for example, okay, I'm very angry on my boyfriend, okay? And then I always think about it. Oh, now I'm not going to talk to this man at all in my life, okay? Everybody gets the negative thought. I'm not going to see his face. I'm not going to talk to that guy at all, okay? All the negative thoughts, you get it, okay? But if you look at it, that the same thought doesn't remain also. Why? Because your breath is constantly changing. Okay. So once your breath is changed, again your thought procedure is also changing. So for example, like many times it happened to me also when I go in a big crowd and if I want to go on the stage and I want to talk, for example, I'm just going to give you my example. Like the last year, I was in Guatemala and they gave me the opportunity on the stage and I have to talk in front of 500 people, okay? And everybody speaks Spanish and I was really like stressed out because I'm learning Spanish, but I was a little bit stressed out how I'm going to manage, okay? And then I also get stressed out, my throat gets dry, okay? So, sorry. Hi, Vikram. Oh, yes, okay. So sorry, we have just last 10 minutes. So you understand the breath and your mind has a strong connection. So mostly, many times people breathe shallow, okay, or paradoxical. Paradoxical means reverse breathing. So as a sportsman, how you should breathe. These are the points I mentioned it. If you go through it, it will be very nice because I have to cover more points. So you should do the breathing techniques, So first, identify is it your breathing is paradoxical. Paradoxical means reverse. So for example, many people when they keep the palm on the heart and palm one on the abdomen, some people when they inhale, abdomen goes in. Okay. So, and that happened because I do a corporate training and whenever I go and I give this exercise, your one palm on your heart and one palm on the abdomen, and I tell you when you inhale what happens, and many people give this answer, when I inhale my stomach is going inside. Why is happening? Because when your stress level goes high, your breathing change. So first you need to correct your breathing. If you look at the small baby, yes, he has a perfect breathing. When he inhales, his stomach is going up, and when he exhales, his stomach is going down. So you just lie down on your back, just close your eyes and observe your breathing. Or one nice thing you can just do is you can just keep the one book on your abdomen and just observe. That's really very important. And then your breathing should be deep and consciousness. Why I'm giving that example like this is the deep and consciousness. Right now also I'm talking to you, my breathing is happening, but my breathing is not deep and conscious. That's the difference. Everybody understands why that point is mentioned, deep and conscious. I'm also talking to you guys. I'm also breathing, but my breathing is not conscious. But when I do a pranayama practice, obviously my breathing is more conscious. And observe your diaphragm. Okay. These are the movements you're going to observe. Okay. And now I'm just going to talk about what happens with the pranayama and meditation. That it helps to improve your lung capacity and it helps your body resistance to the CO2. So, for example, all students, especially the sports person, they know what is the CO2, the carbon dioxide. So, for example, as a runner, they train their nervous system, they can punch out the carbon dioxide easily and they can take the oxygen easily. But if I tell you the normal layman, go and run for 1 kilometer, she will just come after half a kilometer, she will open the mouth. Okay, why? Because his body resistance to the CO2 is not good because he didn't train. So that's the resistance. And when you have a CO2 resistance, very nice, your nerves can be calmer and you can focus very good, guys. And fencing is all about your focus, your mental concentration. So for that, pranayama technique is going to help you a lot. And obviously, it's very good for your concentration. And the meditation is to lower the heart rate, is to reduce the workload from the heart. Okay. And everybody knows the stress. Especially when you go for the fencing, your stress level goes high. And when your stress level goes high, your cortisol and the lactate, these are the two chemicals secret in your body. Okay. But when you do a pranayama or meditation practice regularly, your stress level will be very less or very negligible. Don't worry, guys, stress will be there, but you will know how to react at that time. Okay. That's the best part about the meditation and the pranayama. And anxiety and depression and the moodiness. Okay, the meditation is going to help you guys. And now quickly I'm going to explain you, because in the sports psychology also they explain about the visualization, if you remember, guys. Okay, so yoga nidra is the technique. This is the last slide, is going to help you guys. So now if you look at it, the stress is the biggest problem of our world, that everybody knows. Okay, so this stress we carry on our muscular, on the emotional level and the mental level. So now, even in the Bhavani Devi, she explained about why rest is so important. Okay, because this game is more mental game. So you need the muscular relaxation and mental relaxation. Very good. But hardly people know about what the difference in the emotional level and mental level. So the emotional level is all the dualities. Dualities means hot and cold, win and loss. Okay, because of all these dualities, you get the emotional imbalance. So for example, you go for Olympic or national levels. Okay, when you win, you remember that memory. Sometimes your ego gets high. And even when you lose the competition, that time also your muscle memory remember, oh, I lose my last match, how it will happen. So these are the emotional stress we carry, guys. And the mental is like when you're agitated, when you're angry, when you're depressed. These are the mental level stress we carry in our mental level. So I hope everybody understands what is the muscular. Muscular means maybe you overdo a practice, you need the muscle recovery.
Hello.
That's really very important. And the emotional, everybody understands.
Resham ji, I'm audible?
The mental is anxiety,
Yes, sir.
depression. Yes, due to this.
Resham audible?
Now,
You are audible.
this practice can be used
Cannot
to
hear
shape up your mind
Okay,
and
okay.
approach our life, okay, in a different way, as I told you that. Once you know how to handle your stress or any stressful condition comes, but your approach will be different. Okay. And the mind turns sharper and grasping information, and the learning becomes quicker with the yoga nidra practice. Okay. And then it helps to improve the visualization. So the yoga nidra technique it's like a shavasana. Okay. If you want, you can just Google it, guys. You will get plenty of the yoga nidras, and you just lie down in shavasana and you listen the instructions. Okay. And once you start listening the instructions, this is your brain, okay, for the 15 minutes. And then after, 10 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, and then after you go in a deep resting pose or deep relaxation state, that is the third brain, you can get it. So now what is the waves, okay, there are beta waves. Beta waves means, okay. So the beta waves is when you are alert, and there is a theta waves when you are in a deep meditation state, and the delta is like deep sleep. But when you do a yoga nidra practice, your alpha wave creates in your brain, and that wave helps the visualization. Okay, and maybe you want to change any of bad habits. Okay, you can also do yoga nidra. So for example, I do yoga nidra because when I do yoga nidra, there is a one, after like 2 minutes, they say you have to do a sankalpa. Sankalpa means affirmation. And now my affirmation is that, oh, I'm speaking in Spanish. So that's my affirmation at this moment. And I really feel the difference. Now I already teaching yoga and Spanish. Yes, I am understanding almost like 70 to 60% when people talk, and 20 to 30% I can able to speak now. So that's my affirmation, because I want to change. I want to use my left side of the brain, because learning the new language, you need your left side of your brain should be more active. So this is about the Yoga Nidra, guys. And that's all. So namaste to everybody. And I'm going to log in with the other, again, with my iPad. And if you have any questions, I'd like to answer you guys.
Sure. Please log in again. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, she logs in again. I will give chance to our esteemed people who are sitting there to share their view. Let me somebody is from there before. Krishanji, just keep a tag where she logs in when. We will give chance to speak somebody who has been doing really great with the India fencing. Okay, we have got KP Singhji. KP, I know you have been there since long. I'm unmuting you. Please share your views of next 30 minutes. You are one of the best coach of India has. You raised team of fencing in army, and now you retired from army and looking for better green pastures. Over to you, KP. Next 20 seconds. KP Singhji, I'm unmuting you. Krishanji?
Ma'am is back.
Hello.
Ma'am is there. You can ask.
Hello. I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible. Ma'am is also there. Kranti madam is there.
I think there's all. Okay, Kranti.
Yes.
Okay, Kranti,
Yeah,
I'm
now I
getting you
can hear
again.
you.
Okay, Kranti, the first question is that what all I have got 6-7 questions. Please very brief with the answers. The first question is that first of all, I must thank you. I think first time somebody has tried and relate yoga to fencing. It has never been done in India, and I fully thank you. And I know that it was such a vast topic where a lot of technical knowledge of the yoga things like yoga nidra and everything is required. But let me tell you, as a listener, you did a wonderful job, and I thank you for that. Now I come to the question proper. What are 2 or 3 mental exercises from the yoga you recommend for the fencers to do every day? Please be brief. I have got other questions, then I'll get few people also online to ask you in person.
Okay. So the 2-3 exercise means you can really focus on your breath. That's one of the very technique you can do it. And there's the second technique, you can just focus on your third eye. So for example, you take your eyes in and you focus on your third eye and slightly close your eyes. These are the techniques very good to rejuvenate your pineal gland. Yeah. Okay, these are the 2 techniques.
Okay,
very important.
Okay. Now, Kranti, other question is that at what time people should do pranayama and mental exercise? Before competition, before training, during training, in between, or after training? And if they can do any time, which is the most suitable time to do, when your mind is tired or when your mind is fresh?
Okay, so the first of all means, see, for example, every day we eat. Okay, same, every day we eat. We don't say, oh, today I'm very tired. I'm not, okay, maybe you're not going to eat lunch, but you're going to eat dinner for sure. The same, the pranayama techniques that you have to do it every day, because that's the techniques is going to help you to calm your mind and focus well. So you cannot do it just before your competition or after. Okay, these are the couple of practices you should do it like every day.
No, that's I just want to get into specific. Kranti, question is that like once you are going for a competition, your anxiety level or fear, your breathing pattern goes high, your blood pressure goes high. How you should do? I know you said you should practice this every day. But
okay, I got it.
What one can do that? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So what you should do it. So for example, when I also go for interview, I get anxiety level and my stress level goes high. I just go to the bathroom and I just do. I take inhale and exhale fast, and I just do 20 to 40 times. Like the 3 rounds I do it, and I just feel the tremendous change in my breathing, and I feel my nerves are calmer. You can just do it. This is just before, and it just take 2 minutes, guys. That's it. This is a very fast exercise.
Kranti, a question related to that. Most of the time in fencing, there is a bout of 15 points. Suppose both opponent is at 14 point each. Whosoever scores the last point, he will take the bout away. You cannot take out 2 minutes to breathe in and breathe out at that time. You have just around 4, 5, 6 seconds time before you again get on a position and referee says play. In
Okay.
those 5, 6 seconds, how you calm yourself, something out of your experience you can say, because that particular juncture you need to think, pressure, coaches, environment, you can understand what I am trying to say.
Yeah, I got it. So what you should do is you have to take deep inhale. And here, especially, I like to tell you guys, exhale through mouth. But there are very few exceptions. We just say about, pranayama, you use your mouth. But here, I like to give you the simple technique. Just take a deep inhale and exhale through mouth. That's it. If you just do it 2 times or even 10 seconds, is also going to give you the tremendous changes.
That is wonderful. That is very practical, and I request all coaches to implement that. Now, can you tell in very simple or analogy or normal language, what is Yoga Nidra?
Okay, so this is the relaxation technique. Everybody know the Shavasana. Okay.
Yes.
But the Shavasana, people just do it maybe after your practice. Maybe you did a coaching, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, and everybody just say cool down your body. Okay, that's a Shavasana, maybe 2-3 minutes. But the Yoga Nidra, minimum it should be 15 minutes to 25 minutes. It should be there. Or there are some Yoga Nidras online. There are 30 minutes Yoga Nidras are there. So Yoga Nidra goes, they just tell you that relax your left side, they relax the right side, then focus on your breathing, visualize you're watching the sunrise or you're watching the sunset. Okay, these are the especially they give the visualization. But if you want, I can do a special Yoga Nidra for the fencing people. So for example, I know what visualization they do it. Yeah.
Now, Kranti, thing is that we are very soon, we were launching our Facebook Live. We will definitely invite you there with this session. I'll note down that also. Now, there's so many questions. That's why I'm interrupting you. Please don't mind.
Sorry, no problem.
Now, Kranti, just be like yoga, to the best of my knowledge, it comprised of 2 things, meditation and asanas. Now, meditation, you have spoken at length. Tell me what all asanas one should do on a daily basis for the fencing training, because to the best of my knowledge, exercise takes you to fatigue, but asanas, they re-energize your energy levels. What I read about yoga a little bit. So what are 3-4 asanas you recommend fencers should do every day, where flexibility, strength, and energy chakras can be re-energized? Please.
So they can do a balancing poses are very good for them, for their footwork and for their nervous system. And I like to tell you for the flexibility, the Paschimottanasana, the forward bend, you just keep your legs straight, you lift the hand and you just bend forward. So for the flexibility, that asana is very good. The Paschimottanasana is wonderful. And the second asana you should do it, the Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. That stretch gives you like whole entire body from head to the heel on the posterior part of the body. That stretch is one of the beautiful stretch. They should do it, and balancing poses are very good for them. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's wonderful answer. I'll ask one more question, then I'll do our panel of experts if they want to ask anything. Krishanji, please unmute us after this question. Ashok, Mohit, Lohit, Deepak, Sagar, who are there, and if time permits, I will give chance to few fencers also to ask. Only Kranti, just be brief with your answers. Now, very basic question. Very basic thing. Somebody has told that you think, like you have been associated with sports also. What is the contribution of yogic meditation in a daily basis for how many minutes to get prepared? In fact, what I want to say is how many minutes a day one should do meditation from sports point of view? Just 15, 20, 30. What is your to start with for beginners and advanced fencers?
You can just start with 5 minutes. That's really ideal, because focusing on your mind and controlling your breath is really difficult. Start with 5 minutes. Sit just silently and just observe your breath. That's the first technique. And then next day you can start with 7 minutes and then 10 minutes. So gradually you have to increase the time. Don't jump, oh, today I'm going to sit for 1 hour for meditation. Okay. So I like to tell you that Start with 5 minutes.
Kranti, where one should, like when I am meditating, where should I concentrate? Your mind is just like a, you know, wild dog running here and there. What is the basic thing I should concentrate on? Because you just sitting with eyes closed, that's not a meditation. You need to focus inside. Where one should concentrate?
So I'll like to give you one of the examples. So for example, I'm in the balcony, okay, and I'm just watching the people are coming and going. Some people are coming in the car, some people are on the bicycle, okay, on motorbike. Okay, so that's exactly when you sit for the meditation, you're getting the thoughts, like how the vehicles are passing. But when I get attached, oh, I saw one handsome guy. Oh, where he's going, what his name maybe, okay. So when I get attached to any traveler, means any bike rider, okay, he has a beautiful bike, sports bike, oh, I want to know that guy, where he stays, that attachment, you should avoid it. So you can, obviously when you're going to do a meditation, you're going to get the thoughts, but you should not get attached to your thoughts. Again, you have to refocus on your breath. Refocus on your breath.
Okay, that means ki let the thought pass by, don't concentrate on that.
Yes.
Okay, no, Mr. Mohit, I'm unmuting you, sir. Please go ahead if you have any. Sir, please. Please.
Please unmute me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. My question is, when we are in competition, our breathing pattern, you know, it is we start slow down our breathing pattern and take long breaths. So what do you suggest? We should take small breaths and fast so that more oxygen goes in, or long breaths just before entering a first bout? You know, fencers are much nervous first bouts. So what is your suggestion?
Okay, so first of all, means you have to always try to take a deep breath. That's really helps, because somehow we are not using our lung capacity. With the pranayama practice, you start using your lung capacity more. So you have to always take a deep breath and deep. Okay, it's not only deep breaths you have to take. You have to exhale also longer than your inhalation, because in yoga, especially in pranayama, we give more emphasis on the exhalation than the inhalation. So your exhalation has to be more longer.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. KP Singh ji, please. बहुत दिनों से आप बैठे हुए हैं और प्लीज आप अपना क्वेश्चन पूछिए. थैंक यू वेरी मच. मैं म्यूट कर रहा हूं आपको. प्लीज.
थैंक यू सर.
हाँ जी बताएं.
Jain sir, thank you sir. You are tremendously managing everything. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
This platform more helpful for player as well as coaches sir.
Great. Please ask your question. Thank you.
मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जो मेडिटेशन है, मेडिटेशन कैसे करें? मैडम ने थोड़ा बताया है, थोड़ा सा ब्रीफ में मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि अगर मैं अपने माइंड को सेटअप करना चाहता हूँ, माइंड को मेडिटेशन करना चाहता हूँ, तो उसका तरीका क्या है?
Thank you.
Process.
Ganesh, I am coming to you after that. Kranti, what is the basic he should what I asked is again related to that, ki how meditation he should start, because there may be so many distractions.
Okay. So I like to suggest you that first, whenever you start the meditation, you should do more active meditation. So for example, if anybody knows about Osho example, the dynamic meditation, that literally they like do they jump. Why? Because right now you need have so much energy. Okay, there are so many thoughts. So when you do the active meditation, it will be more easier to calm down your mind, and then you can start sitting. So okay, then you just focus on your breath, or you just focus on your third eye. So first, I like to tell you that everybody should start with active meditation. Active meditation means you do some movement in the meditation. Okay. So active meditation is very good to start with it first, and then you should go for the silent sitting. Yeah.
Kranti, what is the difference between yoga and power yoga? I sent you this question yesterday. If you can take another thought, please. And that Ganeshan, after that, I'm coming to you.
Okay. So the power yoga and the yoga is almost similar only. Okay. But in only the power yoga,
they use all the asanas where you have to use your core muscle. So everybody knows the core muscle, where your abdomen muscles, in your back muscle and your glute muscle, the three muscles are always contracting, or you're utilizing the three muscles. And especially in a power yoga, we use the Mula Bandha. So the Mula Bandha is near your perineum. So for example, when you get the P, okay, everybody know P, and when you don't get the chance to go for a P, you remember which muscles we hold it. That muscles, you have to hold it tightly, and you have to move that energy upward. And when you perform the power yoga with this technique, the power yoga is more effective for your core muscle.
Now, Kranti, tell me one thing I have heard: when you in the advanced stages of yoga, you can perceive things. You can see that what opponent of yours is about to do it. Is it a myth, or there is a reality behind that?
Sure,
you can perceive it. But in order to reach there, you
Yes,
take a lot
you
of
can
effort.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lots of efforts you need to. Rather than lots of efforts, you need to be disciplined.
Oh, that's great. Now, Ganeshan, please ask your question. After that, I'll come to Lohit.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
My question is the pranayama related to fencing. That means if you before the training start, can it possible to do that pranayama exercise? And second question is
sure.
Second question is after pranayama exercise, can it possible to do very vigorous exercises like speed or like that type of activities?
Okay, so I like to tell you about this. So no, for example, okay, so before the competition is different. For example, if you're really like doing your daily routine, example, you're doing the pranayama exercise and then you're going for vigorous training, you should not do. Why? Because the sympathetic and parasympathetic, if you know, these are the nervous system. The sympathetic means when you go for a jogging, your heart rate increase, your breathing goes fast. And the parasympathetic means when your heart rate comes down, your breathing gets slower. So all the pranayama practice and meditation practice is you activated your parasympathetic nervous system. So we suggest you should not go for the sympathetic again.
Thank you, Kranti.
You understand?
Thank you, Kranti. Thank you. Now, Lohit, I'm unmuting you. After that, on popular demand, I'm getting Santosh Pandey online. Lohit.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Ms. Kranti, for your great session on importance of yoga and meditation on fencing. I really feel it is very important. Well, to be honest, I personally don't do it, but I always hope to start doing this. I'm just being honest. The only asana I do is Shavasana. I hope to start these things, on a regular basis, because I really feel this is important. That's why I tell my students also to get in touch with some expert yoga and meditation, trainer, because I'm not able to provide them. So I hope there are many more experts like you. They will find one, and we need much more sessions like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lohit. Thank you. Now, Kranti, I will get you. You are from Maharashtra. We have got a wonderful coach from Maharashtra. Name is Tukaram. Tukaramji, if you are there, I am unmuting you. You can ask your question to Kranti ma'am. She is based in Pune. Tukaramji. Tukaramji, you are there or just attendance? Tukaram? Hello, Tukaramji. I think he's not there. Okay, I'll go get to the. There's another question. Why, Krishanji, please unmute Santosh Pandey if you find it. I will give chance to somebody from Bangladesh who's also with us on that. Mohima Akhtar, I am unmuting you. You want to ask some question? Please, Mohima Akhtar. Please go ahead. Mohima.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Thank you so much, sir.
Great.
Actually, ma'am, when I'm just trying to do some yoga and meditation to reset my mind and breathe, then I feel very aggressive and so many thoughts came out. So I can't control myself. And during the sports time, when I'm on the pitch, I also feel the same thing.
She's from Bangladesh.
So many thoughts come.
She's from Bangladesh and regularly attending our session. We have got people from 4 countries or 5 countries attending. Please answer.
Okay, quickly I'm going to answer you. So what happens that everybody in the meditation, they want to see the flowers, okay? Everybody wants to do, but no one to do the procedure. actually the whatever you practice, the consequence that you can come over your mind. So for example, so everybody want to see the flowers, or everybody wants to eat only the fruits, but nobody wants to put your hands in the soil. They don't want to dig the hole. They don't want to put the seed. They don't want to give a proper sunshine. They don't want to water it, but they want only the fruits and the flowers. It's not going to help you. So for example, if I row a seed, I make sure I'm taking care. Every day I'm watering, and then the tree is growing, and then one day it will blossom. So that's exactly the meditation. So you do practice every day, and the consequences, you will start meditating. Okay. So you understand? So it's not that easy. Even sometimes when I also sit for the meditation, it's not that easy. Okay. But only my goal is that every day I have to be on my yoga mat or on my meditation chair. Just do. And one day my consequence, I'll get it. Yeah.
Thank you, Kranti. I'm just extending the session by 10 more minutes. Tukaram has got a low battery. Just me. Rashid, if you can listen to me, over to you. He's on a panel of the experts we have on this sensing. Rashid, please. Rashid, please go ahead. Rashid, I'm unmuting you. Rashid, can you hear me? No. Okay, I think he's not there. Krishanji, any other panelist on the group? Okay, I will give chance to somebody from Tinsukia. Bitisha, go ahead. Who's there?
Ashok sir.
Ashok sir ko iske Bitisha ke baad Ashok sir ko unmute karna. We have got 7-8 minutes. Bitisha, Kranti, they are from one of the remotest part of the country called Tinsukia, and they are attending. It is the furthermost part of Assam. And Bitisha, go ahead, ask your question. She's a fencer.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Bitisha.
I don't know your name. Sorry, yeah. Go
Bitisha,
ahead.
ask question.
Bitisha, yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
मैं हर रोज वो योगा करती हूँ और सूर्य नमस्कार करती हूँ हमेशा। और जब लेकिन मैं जब वो
She is taken by surprise. Please.
मैं हमेशा सूर्य नमस्कार करती हूँ और जब आसन करने के लिए कोशिश करती हूँ तब इतने अच्छे से भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ। मतलब
Ma'am, Kranti, the question is like that. First of, how important is Surya Namaskar for fencing? And generally people have been, doing rat race, lot of Surya Namaskars. There is a proper procedure to do that. How many Surya Namaskar one should start for a fencer every day?
Okay, minimum you have to do a 6 to 12 Surya Namaskar, but you should do a Surya Namaskar with the breathing. That is going to help you a lot. So for example, when you go towards the gravity, you exhale. When you come against to gravity, you have to inhale. And obviously Surya Namaskara is also going to help, because the Surya Namaskara is one of the greatest exercise for your flexibility, for your strength.
Thank you, Kranti. Ashok sir, you are there. Ashok ji, Krishan ji, if you can unmute him.
Hello.
Ashok sir,
Yes,
please
sir.
go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
It's a great session. Just we know that the aim of pranayama is a steady mind, strong willpower, and sound judgment as well. But can you suggest some exercise for attentive focus?
Yeah.
Hello. To increase attentive focus.
Ma'am, attentive focus.
Also, is there any good effects of these pranayama on the internal organs as well, like our stomach, our lungs, other than mental?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Please,
okay, so I want to tell you one shloka. So there is a one shloka that pranayama yuktena sarva roga shayat bhave ayukta abhyasa yogena sarva roga udbhavat. In the grantha they mention if you do a proper study of the pranayama, you will not have a single disease. So you understand? So you will not have any disease. You will not have a hypertension. You will not have a diabetes. the free radicals of the cancer. You will not have a cancer. So these are the all internal organs benefits you're going to get it, and as well as the mental benefits also you're going to get it.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Krishanji, if you want to ask some question, after that I'll take some last question. Krishan is our host who's been managing all this stuff. Krishanji, please go ahead or convey your gratitude, because it is you are the one who are handling all this stuff.
Thank you, ma'am, for
Krishanji.
thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session. I have only one doubt regarding the pranayam for the development of concentration and focus. And do you suggest it should be practiced before training or after training? And is it possible to do it just before the competition to stay focused for the competition?
So first, yes, it will be very good to do it before your competition. But I like to suggest you, if you're really doing the pranayama practice every day, so you should do it after your practice, means after your training.
Okay, thank you. No, I'll just give a last question before we say farewell to Kranti for such a wonderful session. And I think I should give this chance to somebody who has been very silent over a few years. It's like Prithviraj Mohammad Yusuf. Mohammad Yusuf, brother, please ask your question. Mohammad Yusuf.
Sure.
Mohammad
Hello.
Yusuf, please.
Hello, very good morning. You suddenly gave me a chance. Very good morning, ma'am. It's
good morning.
We are very much grateful for you and for the techniques you gave us. We regularly do it somehow, but the problem is, can you suggest that how we can with the breathing exercise, how we can come out with the body aches? Because some of the times our body, due to the lack of the oxygen, it get stiffness, it get it. So if we with how we take that oxygen level be in a proper form, because after becoming a coach we don't do so much exercises in generally as we do in a player form. So our body sometimes get stuffed and it have the body aches in the
Mohammad Yusuf, wonderful question. Kranti, basically crux is that how to cope up with the post-oxygen deficient syndrome. Please.
So for example, you have a shoulder pain, just keep your hands on your shoulder and breathe deeply, and just imagine through your palm, the prana is going towards the aching part. So you can just place it on your lower back. Okay, maybe you have a heart pain or chest pain, you can just keep your palm and just take deep inhale and deep exhale. Okay, so this is the technique is really going to help you very quickly, because our palm has lots of energy. Okay, and you're talking to your body, you're communicating with your body through your palm. So you just keep the palm and just take a deep breath. Just do it at least 10 to 15 minutes. I like to suggest you guys minimum 10 to 15 minutes.
Kranti, we have got another very young bubbling coach from Jammu. She's been participating a lot and I need to give her a chance. Akanksha, please ask your question, and this is last question. Please, no more request. Akanksha, please go ahead. Akanksha, you can listen to me? Akanksha? No, I think there's some problem there of the net. Okay, please go ahead. Ask your question. I'm not able to unmute you. Hello. Krishanji, if you can unmute her, she has been raising a lot of hands.
No, sir.
No, there's setting. I think there's some setting problem. No, last chance I'll give to. There's no. Before we can say, I don't want to extend it. There's anybody wants to ask a question? Raise hand, please. Okay, Mukesh Kumar from Bihar. Please go ahead. Last question, Mukesh Kumar. Mukesh?
Yes, I am
Mukesh,
listening, Vikram.
Go ahead, bhai.
I have no question, but it was a very wonderful session, which helped already. It will help the fencers to performance. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mukesh. Now, at the end, I would like to thank Kranti for taking her valuable time. She has been taking a lot of classes with corporate and other sectors. Kranti, thank you very much, and we hope to work with you in future also. And thanks for accommodating my request and giving us some time. I know it is a very tough topic and a lot of terminologies are there. It is very difficult to get your people focused. But only request, if you can send me your PPT, I can share it with the people if there is no problem.
Sure, I will send you.
And thank you very much, Kranti, and we hope to work with you in future. In last 30 seconds, you can conclude, and then after all of you are requested to log out. Tomorrow we have a wonderful class on EP by foreign expert. Over to you, Kranti, conclude, and thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. So I like to just suggest you that whenever you get a chance, just take deep inhale and deep exhale, because I told you the conscious breath is more important than just your breathing. Because I'm also breathing, but whenever I get chance, I take deep inhale and deep exhale. That's a crux of this session. And I hope everybody is going to do some kind of breathing exercise or meditation or asana practice whenever you get, because Iyengar is also says 99% is the practice. And the 1%, whatever I talk to you guys, okay, this presentation is just 1%, but the 99% is your practice. So keep practicing, guys. And thanks to Vikram and thanks to all the sports community who gave me this opportunity. Thank you. Yeah. Namaste.